Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to The Train. My name's John Durrant, and today we've got with us a full house. We've got Royzy with us today. We've got Anne-Marie.
Hello.
And we've got Addae G.
Here, in the back.
Anne-Marie, of course, who does Love in the Afternoon. Which,
Okay.
do you do Love?
Love language, John.
The
Show's called Love Language. I think
Okay.
that's a better.
I think it's Love in the
I
Afternoon.
think we should change. If you change, I can maybe do the voiceover like Love in the Afternoon.
Anne-Marie's love language. And then we have Addae G, who actually does the crow's nest, but in actual fact, he's double dark rum after midnight.
Yum yum.
Okay, guys. What we're going to talk about today, a number of things, but we've just looked at a show with Anne-Marie where we've been talking about things like the cosmic forces that there are upon us and what happens with these cosmic forces. And Addae G was telling us that these things have been changing recently, and the physicists, the people who look at the stars, have found another bit of rock floating around out there, and that is supposed to be having a big influence on us all. Tell us a bit about that, Anne-Marie. What actually happens with these different star signs and things? What actually does it mean? No, you don't. Jolly good. I love to ask people questions when they get floored. Each star sign has a different, or supposed to have a different influence on our personality. What?
Yeah, so the different planets in the cosmos, so the sun,
Yep.
the moon, the Mars, all the quick moving planets, and then we've got slower moving planets, and they all go in some kind of trajectory. Yeah, and so I don't know how it works, but they kind of have this sequence that they follow, that we follow around the sun.
We talked a little bit, very briefly, about how, and I know you use crystals in the work that you do. Yes or no? You do, don't you? Okay, but the crystals come into this all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And we were talking about crystals being charged in the moonlight. Now, I personally don't think that is any great shakes. However, you're looking very curiously at me there, Addae.
No, just carry on. I just want to see your point.
Sorry, go on. And when crystals come into this, they actually get charged in the sunlight. And I heard an explanation of that, which was the gravitational pull of the moon, and the gravitational pull of the magnetic pull as well. Now then, all planets are supposed to have this. How much effect is that on our personalities?
Well,
or is it just the way we think?
I personally feel that they do affect us, because we're all part of that. Like, it's the, I think it was maybe Einstein said, the macro, the micro, so above, so below. Our bodies are made of the same minerals as they find in stardust. We're like all the
We
same.
are stardust.
Yeah, we have the same components that make us like a star.
It's a carbon-based.
Yeah.
Also, we have the same components in the cup. Does it make us a cup?
Yeah, it's true. We are so everything.
Like, here's what you would get me.
I love the way what he's saying there.
You would get me to give your balls a try, and
dice, baby.
Whatever. And you will give me to read some cards, and I'll be okay with.
But
I will buy the story that these things. I'll tell you about crystals. Tell me.
Crystals, if it takes several million years in some cases to make a crystal.
Or 5 minutes with peanut butter and a freezer.
Don't they use crystals in technology? And crystals are like super important to technology.
And it takes a long time to make them, and all that, and it's all just silica anyway with the pressure. If all that energy goes into that, surely, in fact, they have managed to measure.
We are a diamond. If you take our ashes, you can make it into a
diamond because it's carbon-based. We are a carbon-based force. Diamonds are a carbon-based crystal. And the thing about it is that if it's a pure diamond, the energy source they use, laser, light, whatever, will go in one side and come out the other. Exactly the same. And the thing is that they're saying that that energy can affect us, or the energy from that crystal can affect us.
As in the light energy from the crystal can affect us, or the crystal
Just the energy
itself.
the crystal gives off, because they can now measure this.
They do measure it,
yeah.
And they can retain energy and stuff.
It was last week. It was last week that Lorena said that you can, in actual fact, measure the energy coming from plants, and they've actually now recorded, and this has been on the TV, recorded plants singing.
Yeah.
We spoke about this before, though. Like everything is energy.
Yeah, I believe everything is energy. I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to deny that everything is energy. Of course, I believe that.
However, Royzy made an important point earlier on. It's all very well having the energy, but you were saying about being prepared for these things.
Yeah, I think it pretty much experiences. Like, obviously, I know these star signs and lunar cycles and all that type of thing, but two people can't be the same, because two people have had completely different lives, which have set them up with different experiences, which gives them different self-defense mechanisms. That's why you've got people with depression, anxiety, different diseases, different everything, because they've got different lives. That's got nothing to do with moons and things like that.
Here's what I can buy.
What?
I could buy that your emotions, and even if you break it down to mood, or they change with the weather. So if they change with the weather, I can understand if the moon has an effect on you. You know, I'm not sure if I can say Saturn has an effect on me.
Okay, well, hang on a minute. What you said earlier on was being mentally prepared.
Yeah.
And what's been come out of other discussions on the train, and one of the things we had when we spoke to you, Anne-Marie, was about having a positive attitude.
Yeah.
And you said about being prepared mentally for something which might come up in the future.
Yeah.
So my point on that is that if you've got a positive attitude on it, you'll get a positive outcome. If you've got a negative attitude on it, you have a negative outcome. So it might be exactly the same influence, but your personality will change the effect that it has.
The situation.
Yeah. There's been a program on TV about Brian Cox showing how the universe, our particular solar system, has developed in particular with the movement of Jupiter and the strength of the gravitational pull and the magnetic field around Jupiter moving things about. I think we talked to Martin when he was on the train about this, and if that strength is there to move those sorts of things about, surely, if, as Anne-Marie says, we're all made of the same stuff, it's got to have an effect.
Yeah.
I've floored everybody, nobody said a word.
I believe so, but it's obviously, I mean, certain elements are proven, and if, you know, and now they say we live in an electromagnetic universe. So what does affect us? Like, there's so many different types of energy that's blasted to us, like gamma rays, radio waves,
Wi-Fi.
We can't see
Your phone.
but it's there, and it's causing an effect, you know. But we can't see these things with our eyes. So I don't know, what do we rely on? Like, I have a belief system, and it's just based on feeling and a little bit of knowledge, and maybe a little bit of science will come out to prove certain things. But really, I have to question, do I really believe it? And I'll say, yes, I do. You know,
do you
but
really
that doesn't mean
what?
I'm right.
Do you really believe what?
Like the planets and how they can interplay with our personal lives.
Does that change the way you think about something or a decision you may be making?
Not necessarily, but it might just help to remind me that I know that there's certain things going on in the planet, that we might be feeling a little bit more aggressive or a little bit more confrontational than usual. And if I know that, I might just kind of go, okay. I'll just...
Now, you see, that's where I can maybe agree with you more on, as we talked before. I can understand if I'm pulling a tarot card or you're rolling your balls, and
Poor
something
Anne-Marie's
comes
got
up,
balls.
3.
and
Unlucky.
and
Loving the
have one
afternoon.
removed. No, and I can understand if you tell me, okay, this card means that something XYZ is going to come into your life. Prepare yourself for it, something like that. I can understand that. Okay, now I'm focusing on this. It gives your mind something to think about as a just, be willy nilly. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
I can understand. We taking these tools to help us focus on our lives in a different way, or see our lives in a different way, to be better.
So are you saying then, if you have looked at your horoscope one morning in the paper,
Yeah.
and you've seen that it says that today's going to be a good day, and you're going to meet somebody influential, that you are then, during that day, you're open and receptive
Yes.
to meeting somebody, and it might be a business thing, it might be a love interest, it might just be somebody you meet is going to be good for you,
Exactly.
but you're open and
I'm
receptive.
very open to that. I'm
Okay.
I'm open to that.
That's just horoscopes, isn't it? I don't believe,
Yeah,
I believe in
signs
that.
and the stars, don't
So I wake up every day, the first hour before I even move from the house, I get like an hour's worth of mentors speaking to me before I'm prepared to go into the day. And I've been doing this for 6 years, and it's worked perfect for me. So the likes of Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, who else? There's loads.
Joe Vitale?
But Bob Proctor, literally
Les Brown.
Les Brown.
Yeah.
I love Les Brown.
Like I have like my alarm. I have an alarm. The one in alarms. Right after the alarm, and it gives you like the weather, whatever. I get a speech from one of these people. Get it? What I always believe in, what you focus on, you'll get.
Let's carry on with this one. What do you do, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. You asked me before, didn't you, about coaches and things? What I do is I look at astrology. I'll listen to things on metaphysics and energy and things like that. That's like my go-to thing that feeds my soul.
So what we're all talking about here is having, if I condense this down into a nutshell, is having a positive mental attitude. Having a positive...
I have a really curious mind about all things, like about the universe and stuff, and I don't know. I know a bit, and I mean a little bit, but that's a thing that like gets me up in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's something which is positive, something which is useful, something which helps you to reflect, perhaps, on things.
I always focus on paying attention to things. Pay attention to things that happen, because we're actually in an age where so many things happen around us. It's hard to pay attention to something for long. So that's where I would say, okay, that might be useful. Pay attention to it. Just as you said, a project is coming up there that, okay, pay attention to this.
It's like when we were doing something earlier on, and you were saying about new beginning. When I rolled the dice, we were talking about new beginnings and so on and so forth, and deep stuff and things which are deeply embedded. That was quite correct actually, but that worked for me.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to say is that, or I'm going to suggest is that if somebody else threw exactly the same dice as I'd thrown, would it mean something different for them? Would it be interpreted in a different way if their situation or their mindset was different to mine?
We have to create meaning. We have to piece the dots together, don't we, for anything to make any sense?
Right then.
And that's the power of these things. You get to put things together and think of other things, and maybe that mental exercise is what your balls are about. That's what it is. It's about, okay, these are three things with symbols, which most people look at it and that's rubbish. But it gives you that way to, okay, let me draw some relationships with what's happening in life or around me.
So in other words, you're taking something which is happening to you now, you're taking what's saying on the dice, and then you're you're interpreting what the dice say to fit your particular situation.
I think it should.
Right. Yeah. So therefore, can we not do that without the dice?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can. I'm not saying you can't. You can.
So why do we need the dice?
We don't need the dice, but we need things outside of ourselves sometimes, whether it's in the form of a mentor or whatever, just to help us, because we've got so much information going on in our brains, and most of us are conflicted about, should I do this, is this right, is that right, or, and like you say, busy minds, knowing what to do the right thing, not really listening to the body when it's saying yes, you need to do this, and these little whispers come in and say, oh, no, pick up that blog again, and but we're busy doing this. So these things are just symbols. Everything's like can be a symbol. A cup can be a symbol, and you can interpret it to mean something to you that's relevant, and it just gets your focus back to what you already know and what you've already been coming through, but you've been ignoring.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the way that does that resonate with you? Do you think that?
It does, yeah. Like,
we're all agreeing too easily here.
No. Like I used to be a completely different person to who I am now.
Yeah.
I got given a book maybe 6 years ago called The Secret. When I was going through a hard time, and I read the book, which inspired me to find more knowledge, and the more knowledge that I received, the thirst for more knowledge carried on.
Yeah.
And now it's got to a point where like I'm constantly learning, and it's not just about secret tips and things like that. I'm going back to like the 18th century. Well, how did this become about? Who made this? Why is the world this way? Why does it operate this way? Why are people living this way? Why can I do all these great things now, and all these people are all coming to me because they can't do them, and they want my help? You know what I mean? But I can only help so many people.
Yeah.
Do you get me?
No, I understand totally.
And the secret is as well, you're not meant to tell these people.
You meant to let what? What do you mean?
You're not meant to tell them.
Keep it to yourself, you mean?
Yeah.
Just like, I agree with that.
Do you get me?
No, I don't. Keep what to yourself.
Right, the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Because not everybody is mentally prepared, and they're not at that stage
Sometimes
for you to tell them
get
the knowledge. Do you get me?
Insights and revelations.
It sends
keep
them
to
off.
yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Like,
it just does something to it if you share it with someone else.
You're forcing it.
So why is it then that people like Joe Vitale and various others that you've just mentioned, and The Secret and the Law of Attraction and so on, why is it then that they're advertising these things all the time?
No, what I
and
mean,
they're all over the
I
place,
just think
come
it's
to me
become-
and do this and I can change your life.
I think it's just
But
become
some people need
popular
people
again.
to
I
help
think
them
it's just
along.
become popular.
No, I'm
again.
not suggesting you don't.
what I'm saying
What-
is it's pointers.
Yeah.
They're giving you pointers. They're saying like, well, if you want to do this, then you need to start this. And pretty much it's all about taking the first step.
Yeah.
That they're the guys, the ones that say, take your first step, yeah. But then once you get like 1,000 steps in, you turn around and you look at people and you've got all this knowledge that other people would never know. And then when you're passing it on to them, it kind of upsets their life.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Like when you're telling them like...
I now get what you say, well, keep it to yourself, because not everybody can deal
Yeah,
with where you
mad.
are.
Like,
You need to do it step by step.
Yeah.
Like I was at a family party today and I was telling someone that no, the government doesn't print the money, and that just, everyone's head just went, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, the government doesn't print the money, you know what I mean? It's done like this, and then everyone starts thinking that you're like, around
like
the bend.
conspiracy
Do
theories
you get me?
and things like that, yeah.
But I was talking, I understand what you're saying, because I was talking to Chase earlier. You have what I would call an epiphany moment. Something just goes click, and then you are ready. And a lot of different people say they can help you do this, and they can help you reach that stage. But what I find frustrating, and what I found, because I read The Secret, similar to you, a few years back, and what I found really frustrating was that I didn't find a way to take the step forward. And I couldn't put into practice what they were actually saying.
You know what's just flashed into my mind, so I'll just have to say it before I forget it. You know how we were saying about the planets, do they have an influence or don't they have an influence? Well, it's like, do we believe that the weather has an influence? So let's say we have an earthquake in wherever. Does that influence us here in any way?
What's the energy release of that earthquake?
Yeah, do you think it has a ripple effect on...
I don't think.
If a butterfly
Yeah.
beats its wings over this hemisphere, it has a reaction in that hemisphere, is what they say.
Yeah.
So yes, I would say it does. Not necessarily with you personally, but certainly with
the bigger
the
picture.
weather. It can influence the weather here, can't it? If something
Yeah.
happens somewhere else, I guess. So that's the weather on our planet, but we're in a completely bigger weather system, aren't we, when we go outside of ourselves?
Yeah.
Like a soup of weather that we're all kind of swimming in, and it's being held in place by something, isn't it? Otherwise it'd be just slipping all in and we would have no...
It's held in place by a big glass dome.
Yeah, it's held in place by something. We all swim around.
It's being held in place by gravity and magnetism.
Yeah, so cosmic weather, if you like.
Okay.
So it's hard to think that it wouldn't influence us when planets get closer to us and planets cross us and cross the sun, which obviously is all life force energy. Without the sun, we die, right?
I wish.
There was a thing.
So this is where religion comes in.
I wish Chase was on this
just
train.
Before I forget it, if we then saw the planets as something very influential in our life, would we not then go back to the ancients and start to worship these as our gods, and religion would get flushed down the toilet?
I would say no, because a lot of religions at some point in time had planetary observation as part of their belief system. It's moved out of fashion.
Well, if you look at the Egyptians and things like that, they worshipped these mythic gods, which is where the planets come in. They worship creatures and things like that. And every planet has got a myth. Every planet was kind of a mythic god that lived or influenced the earth. So I'm just wondering, it's just something.
The thing is, you can go back to paganism.
Yeah.
And you can go back to witchcraft.
Yeah.
And so on. Let's take the Egyptian thing for a start. I mean, they have this, the way the pyramids are built, they have a little window, and the sun at a particular point will go through that window, and it's not just the pyramids in Egypt, it's the pyramids in South America.
Everything points to the...
And
they
it all
say
points to the same place.
Our sun, but then our sun's supposed to have another sun. Possibly Cyrus, I think, I'm not sure, which is the...
It's a core part of the Milky Way, isn't it?
Which influences
There's
our
two
sun.
things here. If you look back, I just mentioned paganism, because if you go back into that as well, and then you look at the current modern religions, you will find that things like weddings, all religious, let's have a Bible and let's tell everybody I do and all, they were doing that before Christ was even born or even thought of. They were doing something similar, even if it was only jumping over the broom. They were doing something similar, and that's been, those sorts of things have been going on, and when the religions, modern religions came along, they were really there. They adopted what the pagans were already doing and simply changed it so they could continue to rule over the people.
I think that rituals themselves have their own power. Rituals themselves have their own power. Your ritual is to get up and listen to these things in the morning. That has its power in itself to set you a certain way.
Yeah.
There are things that I do as a ritual that gives me a certain amount of power.
Yeah.
Right? I think that all these things, because as much as I am a devil's advocate, I do believe in magic in a sense. I believe that things happen.
I want to ask you that.
Things happen to us that we can't explain. I don't worry about things because I believe in magic and I believe that things can turn around when I wanted to. Or like you're writing something and you're not sure what to do, you leave it alone. And I call it magic that happens to get you over a hurdle.
Can I just, because I'm going to keep you in that, but I want to go back one step, because Anne-Marie was talking about the energy that comes from the planets. Brian Cox, on a TV program he's been showing how Jupiter influences the growth of the growth of this particular solar system. But also that, and I can't remember if it's Jupiter or Saturn, have moons flying around it, which are in actual fact molten rock. It's lava. And the thing is, it's nothing to do with how close or how close they are to the sun. They're too far away to have that amount of heat.
Yeah.
But the energy of the planet they're going around, the magnetic field that's there, the gravitational pull, is such that it's making those rocks heat up and become molten. If that kind of energy, and what we're talking about with magic is energy, if that kind of energy can come from the planets to melt rocks that are thousands of miles away from the actual planet, if what happens to us is the way that the energy that's forced upon us by these different things like planets and so on and so forth, all of that, the secret and how the drawing that energy from the universe, it's got to have an effect on us somewhere along the line. It's just got to.
Yeah, because like we said before, like the sun, like for God's sake,
it'll burn you.
The sun, we need the sun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a life force.
And it's that far away from us, but it's still.
But we need the moon.
Alive.
If we go back to your magic, if you go back to pagan times, they would plant things in particular times of day and particular times of the month because of the influence of the moon and the influence, and this was magic.
Where I come from, Christians, everybody, because it may become a Christian thing, but for Corpus Christi, that's when you plant because they believe it's the birth. And it coincides, you know. So everybody plants at that time of the year.
So it just happens to coincide with certain other mystical things which are happening.
Yeah.
And I find that quite interesting because it's the people who develop the religion who put the two things together to maintain the control and keep the belief of the individuals that things are
that
down to Christ.
To believe that we are not, that we have no influence over our kind of life reality. If we all believed that we could tap into this source and we had the ability to tap into this source and create what we wanted to create, then we would be the creators and we wouldn't need to be controlled by the law, the financial institutions,
and we could print our own money.
Religion. Well, we wouldn't need it, would we?
No, we wouldn't. You're right.
That would never happen.
But we're looking at...
You'd be abducted.
So take that back a step, because we're talking about things psychological as well. We're looking at having a positive mental attitude and raising our energy.
I just think like the media keep us, and I don't get like really into conspiracy theories because it does my head in, but I think like the media tries to shut us off and shut us down because I believe we're all connected. It's impossible for us not to be. Yet, we are so tuned out and dumbed down that there's severe suffering and abuse going on wherever, you know, not so far away. We are so dumbed down and cut off from that. Like, do you know what I mean? If we were all connected, that just wouldn't be happening. Like, it shouldn't be happening. But it is, and we just are tuned out and dumbed down by it.
I actually get that.
I get it, but I also get the reasons of why.
Why?
Because if 1% of the world hold the wealth, yeah, and then the other 99, yeah, are all fighting between buying a pair of socks and a loaf of bread to feed the kids, you haven't got time to be, you know, going out there being a philanthropist and looking after people and making sure people are alright while you're trying to keep the rent and the roof over your head and the shopping
exactly.
and pay for your gas and pay for your lecky.
Yeah, so it's look after
I get all that.
Yeah.
But a very obscene programme on the TV last night that I just happened to catch part of, where a guy is buying a Sunseeker yacht for 20-something odd million quid, and they're arguing about refitting 4 bathrooms on a yacht for £100,000 because the shade of the marble that they'd used wasn't exactly right. That's obscene.
I don't say that.
I'm sorry, but that's also well off the topic. But I mean, it's just it is. But the thing is, you're talking about 1% of the population holding 99% of the wealth.
Yeah.
It just
And it's all being passed down. If you think this is all just major entrepreneurs who have come out, created something and got this money and become wealthy, it's not. It's been passed down for centuries, and not just for a couple of centuries. We're talking thousands of centuries.
Well, it goes right back to when you used to go get your men together, have a fight with the guy next door to you, and I then own your land, and that becomes mine, and that's building up your. Yeah, I get that. But the thing is, that's taken us a long way away
from the topic. Yeah,
a long way away from where the influences are.
It's all connected.
Having said that,
it is all connected.
Yeah.
It's about how much influence we feel we've actually got to make the changes, not just in our own lives, but a bit further afield. Has anyone seen the young girl who's come out, Gretna something, and she's just a complete humanitarian. She's changing the way that we look after our earth by recycling and things like that. She's in America, and I think she's got this huge following now, and she's getting people to protest and not go to school, but she's gone bigger and bigger and bigger. She's an influencer, and she's one young girl.
She was the one who actually started this, where they had a day off at school to go and make a protest outside supermarkets about using plastics and changing the planet. So in other words, what we're saying here is, here's one of the 99% who haven't got time to be entrepreneurs. I'm not saying you're wrong, but haven't got time to be entrepreneurs, but they have got time. One girl suddenly thinks of an idea
and through technology,
and just goes and uses it.
Can be so influential. Like,
she's just using what she's got, which are things like the mobile phones and so on that they've got. She's just using modern technology. So are we wrong, therefore, going back to where we started, are we wrong, therefore, to be thinking about things like energetic forces and using the power of the universe and the power of the planets and all the other things? Are we wrong in doing that?
No. I get this thing now, which I never used to have, which I have now, that when people come in contact with me, I can feel the energy and I can read what's coming off them. I can feel it, do you get me? And it's kind of...
be using that more.
I'm using it all the time.
I will just step away if that energy is conflicted with mine. Do you get me?
So is that why you want to come and sit beside me, Roy?
No.
Okay, man. I think I can see a platform coming up. In fact, we're approaching a platform. You are the king of saying things right at the very end of a show. You've been trying to say something for a moment or two.
Yeah, I've been trying to say something for a moment, but I can't get it back, unfortunately. But because of what you said just now about energy, I believe something very similar to that, but from a different standpoint. I believe that everybody has their energy, and you can encounter someone with a huge negative energy. And I think it's the responsibility of you. For me, how I believe, I try to give off enough positive energy to counteract that, so that they have some positive
Can I just say, I actually felt that. Obviously, our first encounter together, and that is probably why I went and did that play for you, and we worked together. Do you get me? That's what I'm saying. So it was kind of no. I'm just saying that you feel the energy, and then do you get me? And then I was like,
I'm feeling the energy.
You see, that's what I was trying to avoid. Chase kept his mouth shut for the entire show. But it's not a show on CondoR unless Chase has a laugh.
Chase is sitting on the platform waiting for us to arrive to say, all change, we're here.
We just won't stop this time, we'll move on.
We'll move straight through. Listen guys, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for coming in this afternoon. And I know you all came in to see Anne-Marie, but thank you all for staying and coming on the train with us, because it's been a really, really nice journey. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And this has been The Train on CondoR Online.